Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. BiteSquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order. Let's talk about Miguel Sano with Roy Smalley, the right man to diagnose what ails him. We will get into all other Twins issues as well, but let's start with Miguel Sano. This is Roy Smalley's Chin Music, part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. Thanks to Berry Coffee, berrycoffee.com, and Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. All right, Roy, I talked to some people around the Twins yesterday. I know we were both at the ballpark. We're recording this on Friday, so we're talking after the end of the Twins' short homestand. I talked to a few people, and they said that they're working on Sano, trying to get him to be quicker, to pitches high in the zone, to be able to catch up to fastballs. I think everything will fall into place if they can get him to do that. They see that he's kind of, loading to the right and kind of trapping his hands, and then therefore he's late to the fastball. In fact, he's late to the fastball means he's cheating on the fastball, which means he's also vulnerable to every other pitch there is to throw. So that was what I heard from other people. But you're the best hitting expert I know, so you tell me what you're seeing.
They're telling you the right stuff for the most part. But let me see if I can expand on it a little bit. And your article in the paper this morning accurately described the problem that when you're late on fastballs, you tend to rush to get there, and then you're swinging at pitches before you're starting your swing before you really know what the pitch is, and that's why you see him swing and miss so many bad sliders away or check swings and all those things that you pointed out today. But so here's the deal with him. He's always carried his hands high in his stance, so they're up above his shoulder or right at the point of his shoulder, and then the load aspect is two. There's two pieces to it. Yes, you gather weight on the inside of your back leg, right? So you feel stress. You feel the stress on the inside of your upper thigh. You gather back there, but as you're doing that, and then start to stride, then the stride really is just foundational. It's setting the foundation so that you can use your hips and hands at the ball. You don't step to hit; you kind of step and hit, and so that load back, stride. But as you stride, you walk away from your hands a little bit. Your hands make a cocking movement of some kind, and everybody does it a little bit differently. If you can imagine. The best example of doing it really well is Eddie Rosario. So you can picture Rosario, who holds his hands to start out more in front of the left side of his chest as a left-hand hitter, and as he strides, boy, his hands go straight back into the launch position, and then he has this wonderful ability to use his hands to deliver the big end of the bat to the ball, and that's the big difference with Sano, because he's carried his hands high, and then as he loads and strides, his hands come down, and it wraps the bat just a little bit. Now, as his hands come down, equal and opposite reaction, right? He can't get a level path to the ball. His hands come down almost by definition. Then his hands have to come up a little bit through the hitting zone, which makes the big end of the bat drag, and he can't get to especially high fastballs. But he's been getting beat with, as you pointed out, cookies that he's hit in the past. And the other thing about it, and part of it is what we just were saying that you've said in the article, and that I'm talking about here, is that when you're getting beat, then you rush to get the big end of the bat out in front of you, and you do that before you really identify pitches. So the one thing that, and I'll go into what they're doing to get him to change a little bit, because he has to change. He can't hit this way. I mean, I think that's demonstrated now, and they recognize that. And sometimes it takes a long time. It takes some time for especially a young hitter to make that leap and say, okay, I got to change something. One thing that I think I've always said, he needs to hit the ball to center or right center, set up to hit that way, not hit everything, but at least set up, a la Miguel Cabrera and some of the really great hitters that he has the ability to emulate because of his talent and his strength. His target contact spot or point is way out in front of him. He's trying to pull the ball, which means you have less time. You have to get the bat head out 2 or 3 feet further in front of you than if you're trying to hit the ball to center or right center. And really, you're not trying to hit it there so much as you're just trying to wait and see the ball just a split second longer. And we're really talking about split seconds here, but in Major League Baseball terms, there is enough time for big league hitters to do that. He has just got his contact point in his mind so far out in front of him, mainly because he wants to hit the ball, he wants to hit home runs to left field, but also compounded by the fact that he's been late, and so it just exacerbates that, right? He's more in a hurry to get the bat head out in front, and he hasn't realized that he can let the ball travel just a little bit farther, get it back on the plate, and then if he fixes the mechanics with his hands, he can drive the ball out of the ballpark anywhere. And then what's going to happen if he tries to do that is that the hanging breaking balls and the slider strikes that he gets, he won't miss. He'll hit those 9 miles to left field. It's the way Kirby Puckett spent his whole career becoming a Hall of Famer, by hitting screaming line drives to right center off fastballs and then hitting breaking ball strikes 9 miles to left field. And that's really where they have to get Sano to maximize his ability. And I'll say one more thing. What they're trying to do with his hands then, and you'll notice now if you watch him, he's carrying his hands a little bit lower and a little bit more in front of his body rather than up on top of his shoulder. And they're trying to get him to, from there, go straight back in the load, and then move his hands straight back through the ball rather than dipping and coming around the ball, trying to hit it to left field. Hit back through the ball, extend back through it, which allows you to wait just a little bit longer and extend back through to center field. And if he can buy that, and it's step one. I talked to Rouse and I watched him. They had an interesting batting practice session with him a couple of days ago, and I was watching. They took him out on the field early, and they had a pitching machine out on the mound and cranked it up to big league fastball speed. I mean, the first pitch I saw, I go, holy cow, they're just ripping that ball at him. And they worked in the cage about where his hands needed to go and the path that his hands need to take so that the big end takes a little bit more flat, level path back at the baseball. And they were firing fastballs at him. And it took him a bit, and then all of a sudden, I have to tell you, he was hitting some of the most unbelievable screaming lasers all over the ballpark on these high fastballs. And I could tell that Rowson was pretty excited, and he walked by me, and I just I said, wow, because there was 100% difference. And he said, yeah, step one.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a bit. It's going to take a bit, but they absolutely know what they're doing. I absolutely agree with what Rowson's trying to get him to do. And if the big guy will buy into it and just trust that it's going to work over time, I think it's going to be the fix that you were talking about in your article today.
Yeah, I have a couple follow-up thoughts on that. Do want to thank Berry Coffee, berrycoffee.com. You know, one cool thing about Berry Coffee is that now you can even use their website. If you're ordering coffee from them, or if you want to order equipment, I order my coffee through them. You can go to their eBill Express tab on their website. and it just makes everything really easy. It's obviously a great company to work with, and now you can just deal with them online if you don't feel like getting on the phone, which is also a very easy way to do things. And once again, they have everything you could want, whether you're a bar, restaurant, small business, large business, or you're like Roy and I, just like having your great coffee at home instead of having to go drive-through someplace to get something that isn't even as good as you can make at home. Hey, they have everything from cups and lids, tea, soda. I'm sorry, it's Minnesota. Pop, water, sports drinks, whole bean coffee, portion packs, instant beverages, creamers, sweeteners, syrups, paper goods, janitorial stuff, teas, just anything you want. You can get at berrycoffee.com. Anything to add, Roy?
No, I mean you've said it all. I love the coffee, and I love the fact that from a service standpoint that they're like 24/7. You got something wrong with the equipment that they put in your place of business, it's fixed like right now. And I think that's a cool service for a company like this. So
that's right. This is
good
not
for them and good for the users.
You're not dealing with somebody who's been hired secondhand in the local market. You're dealing with a company that is from Minneapolis, that started in Minneapolis, and you're dealing with people who know how to get things done and get things done quickly and take great pride in it. So berrycoffee.com, thanks again for their sponsorship. A couple thoughts on Sano. One is, a couple of years ago, I can't even remember exactly when it was, I walked in the Twins clubhouse before a day game, and I had three very prominent Twins figures all pull me aside and go, man, Sano's out of shape, he's overweight, he's sluggish, he might really damage his career if he doesn't get his act together. And of course, I wrote that, and a certain segment of the online Twins community accused me of fat shaming Sano and just kind of missed the point entirely, which is what the organization was really concerned this guy was damaging his career. This is completely different. According to the people I talked to, he is working at it. He's in good baseball shape. He showed up. He made a couple of really nice plays in extra innings yesterday during a long day game.
Terrific plays. He saved the game for him with one play.
In the 10th inning, yeah. And you don't make those plays if you're not into the game and alert. So I don't see any of the past problems. I just think it's purely a mechanical thing. And like as you said, the tough thing is that you're trying to make changes in the middle of the season with an injured roster where they can't just give him 5 days to work on the side. That's the tough part of this thing.
Yeah, it really is. And the second tough part of it is even when you start getting it on the side, you go out there against big league pitching, and they're doing different things than what you're seeing in your practice. And there's the pressure and the adrenaline and everything, and you tend to fall back into what you've always done, and it takes a while. It really does, and it's going to take a little while. It may not be this season that it happens for him on a real regular basis. But if he keeps working at this, and I really do believe that it's going to be better. By the way, it's already better because the outs that he made, and he did fall into his sweeping at the ball and a couple of times and struck out. He took one pitch for strike three that you could tell was mental confusion. I mean, he's got a lot of things going on in his mind. It was tough to go up there and think about mechanics when you're facing big league pitching. But the whole series that he played, the outs that he made were hard ground balls to shortstop and third. That's different. That's different for him. His outs, when he's not striking out, his outs have been fly balls. And it's because the big end of the bat is behind his hands a little bit. And the hard ground balls to shortstop on fastballs, that means that his plane is a little bit better. It's not perfect yet. And of course we all want him to hit the ball in the air and not on the ground. And all of that will come, especially when he moves his contact point back on the plate just a little bit and gets more through the ball to center field extension. All that's going to happen. But I got to tell you, the hard ground balls to third and shortstop means that he still had his contact point in his mind out in front of him a little bit too far, but the swing plane was better. And so I'm very optimistic. I'm very hopeful because he can be a devastating hitter. I really believe that he has that in him. If he can slowly but surely make this